Isaiah Episode 20, The Oracle of Moab, The Trap of Sentimentality, Isaiah 15-1:16-14. The quiet Babylon. We have seen the axe of Assyria. We have carried the burden of Babylon. We have watched the morning star fall from the heights of self-exaltation. But today, Isaiah turns his eyes to a neighbor. He looks toward Moab. If Babylon is the empire of power, Moab is the empire of the familiar. In our metaphysical lens, Moab represents a quieter trap, sentimentality as identity. It is cultural pride dressed in nostalgia. It is the refusal to move beyond the safety of how it used to be. It is the soul settling on its dregs, thick, stagnant, and resistant to the flow of the spacious present. Today, we enter Isaiah 15 and 16. These chapters read like a mourning song, place names, tears, flight, collapse, but underneath the grief is a hidden diagnostic. How love of the past can become a bunker against the present, and how pride in the roots can ironically suffocate the branch. Brief disclaimer. This is a metaphysical and psychological inquiry using concepts associated with the Seth Speaks material as a conceptual lens. It does not replace scripture, doctrine, or personal faith. The Bible is honored here as sacred text. Part 1. The Overnight Collapse, Fragility of the Familiar. Isaiah 15-1. Isaiah opens with shock. In the night, Ar of Moab is laid waste. In the night, Kir of Moab is laid waste. Notice the timing. In the night, Moab felt stable because it felt historical. Moab had walls, stories, rituals, and the comfort of repetition. But in the quantum field, stability built only on form is an illusion. Form can hold for years until it doesn't. In Sethian terms, Moab is a closed probabilistic loop. It keeps replaying the same cultural songs, the same family grievances, the same ancestral pride until the loop becomes brittle. A system that stops being open to new vitality looks solid right up to the moment it shatters. Frequency statement: comfort is not safety, stagnation is not stability. Part 1.5 Counterfeit continuity. When heritage becomes a spell. Moab's tragedy is not that it remembers. Memory can be medicine. The tragedy is when memory becomes a substitute for reality. In systems language, this is path dependence. Yesterday's solutions become today's identity. The system keeps selecting the same moves because they once worked, even when conditions have changed. And the longer that repetition continues, the more the repetition feels holy. In the Sethian lens, this is how a counterfeit reality is maintained. Repeated expectation creates a stable perceptual bubble. People begin to observe the world through the bubble, so they keep collapsing the same probability line. The past becomes a script, and the present becomes a stage for reenactment. That is why collapse can arrive in the night. Not because reality is cruel, but because the bubble was never strong, only familiar. Part 2. The Geography of Grief. Emotion without movement. Isaiah 15-2-4. Isaiah describes mourning everywhere: shaved heads, cut beards, sackcloth, wailing. In Babylon, loss triggers rage. In Moab, loss triggers lament. And lament is not wrong. Grief is sacred. But Isaiah is exposing something more subtle. Grief that does not transform becomes a ritual that protects the old identity. Sentimentality is emotion that looks backward and calls it loyalty. To shave the head and cut the beard was to strip visible status history made physical. Their identity was tied to appearance, lineage, and inherited meaning. When the external world shakes, they have no internal well to draw from. They run to the temple of ancestors, but the temple cannot substitute for living alignment. Psychologically, sentimentality is the attempt to feel without choosing. It is wanting the warmth of memory without the responsibility of the present. It is mourning the past while refusing to become new. Micro-practice. 7 seconds. Ask yourself quietly, am I grieving to heal or grieving to stay the same? Part 3. The Cry of the Fugitive. Retreat into smallness. Isaiah 15-5-9. My heart will cry out for Moab. Isaiah does something rare. He weeps. He doesn't only diagnose, he resonates. Why? Because Moab is a relative, historically a cousin nation. Metaphysically, Moab is the almost right part of us, the familiar, the inherited, the comfortable that is not fully aligned. The fugitives flee towards Zoar, the place of smallness. When big stories fail, the ego retreats into smaller bunkers, tighter tribes, tighter opinions, tighter identities. Instead of surrendering to truth, we try to preserve a remnant of pride. Isaiah says the waters of Nimrim are desolate. Water in scripture and in Seth's symbolic language often points to consciousness and vitality. Moab's waters dry because Moab stopped flowing. It became a stagnant pond of, "This is how we've always done it." Frequency statement. The past becomes poison when it replaces presence. The physics of Moabian entrapment, why nostalgia can become a cage. Let's name the mechanism clearly. 1. The familiar feels safe because it is predictable, not because it is true. 2. Predictability becomes identity. If I change, I lose myself. 3. Identity becomes defense. If you question my tradition, you attack me. 4. Defense becomes rigidity, and rigidity becomes fragility. 5. Fragility eventually meets reality, and collapse happens in the night. This is not only national, it is personal. Families do it, communities do it, individuals do it. The ego can build a museum and call it a home. Part 4. The pride of the settled. Tradition as superiority. Isaiah 16-6-7. We have heard of the pride of Moab, very proud, but his lies shall not be so. Here is the central diagnostic. Babylonian pride is imperial. I am the world. Moabite pride is cultural. I am my tradition. Moab says, our ways are the old ways. Our lineage is the pure lineage. We are better because of who our fathers were. The pride is quieter, but not weaker. It hides behind sentiment. In the Seth material, you are not bound by biology or history unless you agree to be. Moab agrees to be its history. It uses nostalgia to mask arrogance. It pretends humility while reacting with wrath toward anything that threatens its comfort zone. His lies shall not be so. The lie is that eternal security can be found in a temporal culture. It cannot. In prophetic language, everything that is not rooted in the spirit is camouflage, reality, temporary, shifting, unable to hold the soul forever. Frequency statement. Roots are meant to feed growth, not replace it. Part 5. The outcast at the border. Mercy as the exit. Isaiah 16-1-5. Isaiah offers a strange solution. Protect the outcast. Hide the refugee. Do not betray the one who escapes. This is the call to hospitality, the doorway out of Moab. The only way to break the trap of sentimentality is to open to the other. The outcast represents what Moab avoids: discomfort, newness, unfamiliar stories, unfamiliar people, unfamiliar truth. And Isaiah links survival to mercy. In mercy, the throne will be established. One will sit on it, in truth. Notice the contrast. Moab's throne of pride collapses. The throne of mercy endures. This points back to the branch in episode 16. The branch grows from truth, not from tradition, from alignment, not from nostalgia. Sentimentality says, my feelings are sacred. Compassion says, your need is sacred. Sentimentality circles the self. Mercy expands the field. Micro practice. 8 seconds. Think of one person you tend to label as other. Whisper, may I see them as human. Feel your chest loosen. Part 6. The Moabite vibration. Resonance without capture. Isaiah 16:11. My heart shall resound like a harp for Moab. Isaiah's body becomes an instrument. This is sympathetic resonance, the ability to feel another's grief without being trapped by their pride. The Hebrew imagery points to the gut, the seat of deep emotion and intuition. Isaiah is not numb. He is not cold. He is aligned. He weeps, but he does not worship the old story. He resonates, but he does not cling. This is how we handle the Moab in our families and cultures. We do not hate it. We do not mock it. We do not pretend we are above it. We honor the pain, but we refuse stagnation. We let the harp string of connection vibrate while still walking toward the high mountain of truth. Frequency statement. True connection is resonant. Sentimentality is clingy. Part 7. The 3-year limit. Expiration of illusion. Isaiah 16:13-14. Isaiah ends with a timestamp. Within 3 years, Moab's glory will be despised, and the remnant will be small and feeble. In the spacious present, there are windows of opportunity. Some patterns can be transformed if chosen in time. The 3 years here functions as an expiration date on illusion. When a thought form refuses evolution, it loses vitality. The performance continues for a while, but the substance drains. Moab becomes small not because God delights in shrinking it, but because it refused to grow with the vector of life. It chose to stay settled instead of becoming a branch. It chose the museum instead of the garden. Frequency statement: what will not evolve will eventually simplify. Closing: are you settled on your dregs? Moab is the voice that says, don't change, don't grow, stay with what is comfortable, stay with what we know. Honor the past even if it costs the present. Your call to action: identify one area where sentimentality is acting as identity. Is there a tradition you hold that has become a bunker? Is there a memory you worship that keeps you from seeing the outcast at your border inside you or outside you? You cannot reach the high mountain if you are anchored to the old valley. So drop the sentimental bunker, take up compassion, stop being a fugitive of the past, and become a citizen of the present. Next episode, episode 21, The Oracle Against Damascus. We explore the coalition of the weak. What happens when we seek strength by aligning with other unaligned forces? Refined CTA. If this series helps you break free from the trap of sentimentality and find your resonant truth, subscribe to Quantum Spirituality TV and Chaos TV. By joining, you help us turn grief into growth and nostalgia into mercy. Remember, the tool is powerful, the hand is holy, and the past is only a shadow. Leave a comment. What familiar bunker are you putting down today?